this video is going to cause me so much pain, and so much acrimony, because I'm going to drag a lot of flack from so many people who are obsessed with this and think that what is being said here is right. Now, here's the thing. I'm not 100% agree with Keir Starmer. I think there are some actions that he currently is doing isn't the right call. I think, again, talking about recent things, the whole new Rishi Sunak attack ad that was put out, I think that's completely off the mark. And they could have done a far better attack ad by basically saying, look, Rishi Sunak is denying victims of violent crime by defunding the justice system. That's literally you all have to say, and that is a perfectly legitimate attack. And I think what they did was sort of wrong. I think when you look at what happened to the Labour, the Labour Leicester town council councillors, that all 15 have just been deselected without any reason why. I think that's wrong. I think there is a lot of stuff that the National Council and the lot of areas are doing wrong, and I'm not happy with that. But here's the thing, I'm willing to put aside that, because at the general election, I do not want to continue with another 5 years of a Tory government. And no, Keir Starmer is not a Tory. There are a ton of things that he is currently doing in terms of sort of what he's talking about, I think are very, very good and very acceptable. The Tories would never touch with a barge pole. And like I say, if Double Down News, if this guy wants to have a chat with me, I am a card-carrying member of the Labour Party. I'm more than happy to have a chat with this guy, or indeed any other people involved with Double Down News who disagree with me what I'm about to say. But I am sorry, this is the most dumbest video I have ever seen about this subject. I just cannot agree with the vast majority of it. I think this falls into conspiracy theory. I think you're trying to engage in a lot of whataboutisms, and some of the stuff doesn't even really matter. Because at the end of the day, you are pining for Corbin. And I'm sorry, Corbin's gone. Deal with it. Get over with it. Look within the party to think who could replace him or be a good progressive leader, or make sure that Labour are electing good progressive candidates. That should be the message that you are saying. You should be leaving Corbin behind and going on, but instead you're crying about it and stuck in the past. And the thing is, politically, it's a dead end. You've got to move on. I'm sorry, but you really have to. Because otherwise, you're going to be here 10 years later crying, oh, if only Corbin was still in the Labour Party, was still the leader. How does that help your cause if you're still crying about that 10 years from now? And I'm sorry, this is a perfect example, because I am on the left. I am someone who voted for Corbyn. I was very happy with a lot of Corbyn's policies. I think he was an absolutely awful leader of the Labour Party. I think he was not very good, well prepared for the PR circuit and the amount of PR that he would sustain, which I think led to a lot of his problems. So I've got my problems with Corbyn and what he did, but I voted for Corbyn. I very happily voted him. But you've got to move on. You've got to move on, guys, or else you're going to be crying about this for years, and it's going to make you look absolutely politically useless and pathetic. And if you want to have a chat with me, I'm more than happy to have this chat. I am begging to have this chat, because I would love to have this. But anyway, we're going to go into this video, because this video, it's painful. It really is. But anyway, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, and of course, other links down below as well. So let's go cracking on into this then, shall we? Because this, I think, makes some ridiculous arguments that border on absolute conspiracy theories, and I really do. And we're going to have to almost stop it right from the word go. So straight away, as you can see from the lines, Keir Starmer is presiding over a coup. By the very definition of coup, who is Keir Starmer cooing? Because he is the leader of the Labour Party. Uh, who is he getting rid of to seize power? He's already in the position of power. He won the democratic vote of the Labour Party, and I know that still burns a lot of people deeply, but he won democratically, like it or not. Um, he is the leader of the Labour Party. He isn't cooing anyone. So the fact that Keir Starmer, I'm sorry, is presiding over a coup is wrong right off the word go. So, like I say, there's a lot more to go through. So we'll crack on into this. But I think just for some speed, we'll just speed it up just a bit, just so we can get through this quicker. Because otherwise, this is going to be a very long video. But anyway, let's crack on. That's slow. Wait. Keir Starmer is presiding over a coup. I don't think you provide, to be honest, enough evidence in this video that he has uh, certainly provided over a coup. And the whole idea that it's going to lead to a dictatorship. What? I am sorry. You are out of your mind to be making that claim. You are absolutely out of your mind to be making that claim. I am sorry. That is not a claim anybody should be making about Keir Starmer. And there are lots of valid criticisms you can make about Keir Starmer. Some of them in this video, I will agree with you on. But to say that he is presiding over a coup, that he is going to become a dictator, you are very clearly smoking something in the double down offices. I can tell you that now. But anyway, here we go. And then this set immediately say Starmer is the most dishonest politician in your lifetime. Really? Really? You are going to say that after we have just had Boris Johnson? And you are going to say that with a straight face? Let's continue. So, first of all, he lied about the Labour leadership. He made promises that sort of he was going to do. Don't mind. I really don't care. Like I can honestly say I really don't care, because he has said other things since then, since he has become Labour leader, that give me a lot of hope. I think Starmer is going to shock a lot of people when I think he is going to be a lot more progressive than I think people give him credit for, especially what you're giving him credit for. And then you just go, oh, when he's prime minister, he'll just lie his way through his prime ministership as well. He's not even prime minister yet, so you can't even say that, to be honest. I think that's a very disingenuous claim to make about Starmer. Just because he didn't keep to his promises. Well, what about Corbin? Because Corbin said he was going to make sure that the Labour Party was a party for everyone. Yet, numerous times, we have seen people who were part of his leadership team come out and say, look, the Labour Party is no longer a Big Tent party. It is now a socialist party. That's not a party for everyone. So, did Corbyn break his leadership promises? Would have he have lied his way through his premiership as well? Because that seems to be what you're making the claim, that anyone who breaks any form of promise is labeled an automatic liar. Again, some of these claims I just cannot get behind. They're just absolutely weird, and I think it really does border on complete and utter conspiratorial. I really think this does. And yet you're going to claim later in this video that Starmer is a friend of the establishment. Starmer is anything but a friend of the establishment. The right wing media hate Starmer and constantly take any chance they can to go after him. And here's the thing: the reason why they really don't care about these breaking of these electoral promises, this happens all the time in politics. I'm sorry, that's just the nature of politics. Sometimes you make promises, sometimes you cannot keep those promises. It's just how politics works, unfortunately. Now, you can say that, oh, this is actually a big issue that he's broken all these promises, but there's a lot of stuff Starmer and certainly the shadow leadership team have been saying, which are pretty good. The New Deal for workers that gives unions more power. That's pretty good. And I would expect maybe you to be excited about that. But apparently not. You would rather instead talk about stuff like this, which is politically useless. It gets your cause nowhere. And instead, when you have a Labour leadership that is saying we should give more power to unions to help them fight back against things like fire and rehire, or what Ed Miliband has said about giving more powers for unions to sort of go into sort of more areas where normally businesses could block them off, where they might need to have a look at this area because maybe this is where an area where lots of accidents happen. So unions want to go and see what's happening, what's going on, but the business sort of blocks them from going in there to see what's really going on. There is a lot of stuff you could actually be talking about, which is good and helping spread this message. Because I'll tell you what, the mainstream media ain't saying a word about that. Love it. Okay, they want to protect Starmer because he protects their interests. Who are they and what are their interests? Because right now you are delving down into a conspiratorial rabbit hole, and we are only 33 minutes in of a 9-minute video. And I really, this is going to be so painful going through all this. It really is. But we're going to continue on. But yeah, you're going to elect someone as just as bad. Boris Johnson had a careered history of lying. He had a career history of lying, and yet he broke his 10 pledges. Again, I've said I don't care because Starmer's putting out, and again, his shadow leadership team, as I've just said, putting out a lot of good stuff, and you don't seem to care about that. You're just clinging. Oh my god, he broke these 10 pledges. Only if Corbin would come back. Oh, you're politically useless. I'm sorry. There comes a point where you have to just look at someone and just go, you're politically useless. You're politically pointless. Why should anyone ever pay attention to your channel where we are, what, 3-4 years out of a from since Corbin was prime minister? How long are you going to drag this out for? Uh, how do you know? He's not even in power yet. How do you know? That's again very conspiratorial. Do you have a window into Keir Starmer's mind that we don't know? So you can hold him to account. Again, I'm a member of the Labour Party. I definitely plan, certainly the coming general elections, to hold the National Council to account because I am very disappointed for the fact that they seem to be deselecting a lot of very good Labour candidates, both local and national, who could stand without reason, without cause. I think that's bad, and I think the National Council, come the next election, should have to answer for that. But I can only do that because I'm a member of the Labour Party, and I know full well that Double Down News has for years been promoting the message you should leave the Labour Party because apparently you have no power about this, or yeah, that'll show them, but you will go on later in this video to care about democracy and how important democracy is. Well, there's a whole democratic process in the Labour Party if you want to hold these people to account. Again, you are spreading the completely wrong message. You should be saying for people to be active and engaged in politics. This is what turns people off from politics. This is why, when you look at France, Macron dares to raise the pension age by 2 years, and yet the Tories have done this three, four times over the past time that they've been in power. And yet, what's been the peep from the British public? You're not engaging people to become active in the political process. You are turning people off from being active and engaged in the political process. And I think that is a massive disservice to you. And it is a massive disservice to the cause. It's a massive disservice to any left people in the UK. And yet he undermined a an inquiry where he was specifically told by the leadership, do not undermine this, do not say anything negative about this inquiry. And yet what did he do? He came out and he rubbished the inquiry and undermined it. So I'm sorry, but he deserves everything he got. You may disagree with that, but I'm sorry. He should, and he should do, because I think if you were to turn this round on anyone else, I think the Double Down News, anyone else who would to disagree with like diminishing any other um inquiry that you cared about that maybe was in the Labour Party or something like that, I think you'd be calling for the exact same thing. I really, really think you would. He did purge his opponents. That's not a lie. There are numerous examples out there of local momentum groups, local momentum campaign groups that told people Labour is now a socialist party. If you don't like it, get out, or else we'll get rid of you. That is an unfortunate fact, and it is something your side has to live with that is something you did. So you can cry about Keir Starmer doing this, but your side engaged in it as well. And if you can't admit that, then why should I take your claim seriously either? If you can't admit that there was what momentum were actively engaged in getting rid of what they saw as right wingers within the party. Many of them were not socialist. Many of them were more sort of like left wing centrists, or maybe just well on the left, but weren't as progressive as you. And yet, there were active campaigns to get rid of people like that in the party under Corbyn. And yet, look at the Ford report. Look at the other reports that are around about this time. It just shows you what was going on. There was a full blown civil war in the Labour Party because of Corbyn, because of the way he was running the party. This is why I said numerous times he was a bad leader. And yeah, I don't like what Keir Starmer is doing either, getting rid of a lot of these people. But because I'm a member of the Labour Party, I have voting rights. The next, national council and sort of these things, I want to hold these people to account and say why did you do this? Why did you allow this? And I can only do that because I'm in the Labour Party. Whereas I'm sure your message is to leave the Labour Party because reasons. You are actively, as I said just a moment ago, you are actively dissuading people from getting involved in politics. That is not the message you should be sending. He didn't purge him, as I said before. Corbyn undermined a report, and Starmer had said, "Do not undermine this report." And what did Corbyn go on to do? I'm sorry, Corbyn had everything that he came to him. And to be honest, this should have been expected because Corbyn numerous times would get dragged into absolutely ridiculous things, like the whole Palestinian things. Yeah, you know, okay, I'm glad that Corbyn supported the Palestinian cause, but the problem is the way that he sort of seemed to go about it basically opened him up for massive attacks from the right wing. That was a massive own goal from the Corbyn campaign. That's why when you went around campaigning in these red wall districts, there were people said, I can't trust Corbyn because I think he's a terrorist sympathizer. And that was a massive turnoff for many people at the 2019 general election. People cannot seem to get their heads, or at least people on the left can't seem to understand because again, I think you're trapped in a Corbyn cult mentality. And because you cannot get out of that, you cannot fathom for a second why someone who is working class might not vote for your party. And because you cannot see beyond your mindset, you can never understand or fathom why that was the case. And because you cannot fathom why that is the case, you are promoting ideas and I think nonsense which will damage your cause for years. You are forever, I think, dooming yourself and other sections of the left to be crying about Corbyn for years. You need to move on. You need to let go because you look absolutely politically useless. And this is coming from someone who wants the left to win. I want the left to win. But this is not how the left wins. I like this. I like this. So he's sacked shadow ministers for attending picket lines. No, he sacked one shadow minister for not attending a picket line. He was at a picket line where he decided he would go out on his own and start proclaiming Labour policy, which was not Labour policy at the time. Now, what happened where there was a Labour minister who went out and did the same under Corbin? Hmm. What what did Corbin do to them? Because he advocated rejoining the single market and customs union, which at the time wasn't Labour policy under Corbyn. What did Corbyn do? Be honest about that now. Because if you're complaining about this, why are you not complaining about this under Corbyn as well? Just something you should think about. Not 100% true and complete. I'm sorry. There are lots of people who he has purged, and I think, to be honest, some of these purges have gone a bit too far. And I wouldn't even call them purges. I would call them probably a massive overreaction to the fact of what some of these people have sort of ways and sort of responded. I think they've gone a bit too hardcore on it. But if that's the way they want to do it, if that's the way they want to sort of restore trust and faith, then okay. But I think they've gone a bit too far with it. And unfortunately, you say, "Oh yeah, they've been from the left." Well, a lot of these people back when Corbyn was in power, they were doing an awful lot of very similar things, and yet I don't see you complaining about that either. The fact that uh, as as many people in sort of the Labour, certain the Momentum side was saying, if you are a centrist, you are not welcome in the Labour Party. I don't see you complaining about that. I don't see you making videos about that. I I've just said I don't like what Starmer's fully doing, but I would still support him. I'll still vote for him. It's the only way to stop the Tories. Which again, I don't see where you're going with this because what do you think should happen? Do you think there should be a leadership contest? Because that would seem to be the thing. How if you really wanted to get rid of Starmer, which seems to be what the message you're trying to send, that's how you would go about it. But I know full well Double Down News have advocated a stance of people on the left should leave the Labour Party. And they were advocating this long, almost from the get go. So, what do you like? This is it. This is the thing. Who I would really love to sort of ask you if we ever talked. What's your solution to this? What's your grand solution to this? Because so far you haven't offered any solutions. So far in this video, you haven't offered any solutions. You've only offered complaints. And to be honest, a lot of these complaints have bordered very much on the conspiratorial. I don't think really care or really matter. Look at the polls. Labour's 20 points ahead. This never happened when Jeremy Corbyn was in power. Just saying. I want the left to win. And yet you're advocating going to war and fighting old battles which you've already lost. I'll say it again, this is not how the left wins. This is why you've got to let it go. my friend. Gotta let it go. What do you mean free speech issues of the day? That's a big claim that Labour is censoring free speech on big issues of the day. That's a big claim that I would expect you to be backing up on this. Let's see where you go with this. Wasn't a coup, he was democratically voted in. It's not a dictatorship. If you are voted in, it is not a dictator. If you are voted in, it is not a coup. And Keir Starmer has shown nothing that he is leading a dictatorship. Again, this is lunacy. I'm sorry, is absolutely lunatic thing to say. I can't see it anywhere else. Who cares? Oh, he's a member of the Triarch Commission. So what? I'm a member of JCI. JCI is one of the few organizations in the world which is allowed to use the UN logo in their symbol. Am I part of some massive globalist international plot? Because right now you are bordering on complete and absolutely conspiratorial things. Can you provide any evidence that the Trilateral Commission is using its power or influence to push Starmer to push certain Labour policies? Because unless you've got that, this is a conspiracy theory. And I'll say this now. And and what? What were they strategizing about? No, what were they saying? I know. Um, you're going to point to Henry Kissinger. Yeah, everyone knows Henry Kissinger wasn't a good dude, sort of when it came down to it. But can you provide any evidence that this group is influencing Starmer's views? Don't think you can, which is why this is a conspiracy theory. This isn't news. This is a conspiracy theory. Again, so what? Okay, so you've just made the claim again. Starmer is willing to do the dirty work of all these establishment types. Where's your evidence? Because you really haven't provided any. Now, some people say, "Oh, but what about um, those people that he ejected from the Labour Party?" That's not evidence. That's not evidence at all. Can you link that to that claim? Absolutely not. This is a conspiracy theory. You mean because he was committed of of doing a crime in Sweden? If Julian Assange is innocent, why does he not go and stand trial? Now I know a lot of people say, "Oh no, you don't understand. He'll get, uh, you know, deported to America and stand trial for basically the all the WikiLeaks stuff, um, and espionage stuff." And as we said before, if you really looked into Julian Assange, he's not this great champion the people have gone forward through. I think to really claim about. I don't think he's really all that praiseworthy figure that, to be honest, many people make him out to be. Uh, he enjoys very much of the same cult like status that Corbin does. And again, if he's innocent, then well, he should be able to prove that. But he's never done that. And well, again, I'm left with the saying the fact that one thing I've said: who cares? I mean, I know you've got this on the screen at the moment, but and that's bad, and that's a sort of an entirely separate thing, which you can deal with by I don't know, maybe engaging in the political process and maybe making that a thing, maybe uncovering it. Maybe you should be. I'm sure you probably have looked at why this happened. I'm sure you have. Uh, You've just said huge amounts of emails. That article said key emails. That's a very sneaky move. That's a very sneaky move you've just pulled there. um, Cover up. Okay, just because maybe those emails, I don't think it amounts to the fact that there's a cover up. I really don't think it goes up to do that. And then this is one. This one. Why did they not do that? Again, the Crown prosecutors cannot just say, "Oh, we refuse." It's not how it works. Was there enough evidence? Was Charles de Mendes? I think this was the guy who was shot on the tube. Now, of course, he was mistaken at that time for a terrorist. So, were there maybe mitigating circumstances in this regard? I'm not saying it was the right thing for the police to do, but there's more. There's a whole lot more that I think you were really willing to admit in some of these cases. You- Again, um, mm, mm, what about all the good things he did? Again, I think you're cherry picking out of his career. I really think you do, and I don't think that does any service to you. I really do not think this cherry picking does your service because again, you were trying to sort of um, establish this claim that he does the bidding of the establishment. So where's this evidence that Starmer did the bidding of the establishment by trying to punish people who stole bottles of water in the 2011 riots? Now, that's still theft. So, they probably should be punished. And there was a lot of looting that went on in around those big riots that happened at the time, if you remember that. Do you not think those people should have been punished? Maybe not as harsh a sentence, but do you not think those people should have been punished? I don't know. This is massively cherry picking. Again, it doesn't seem to be. It's not convincing that you're trying to sort of connect this to these big power players, these establishment people, which again, you're coming across more as a conspiracy theorist than anything else. And as I said, this doesn't help your cause. This does not help your cause. you haven't really provided any evidence that Starmer is immoral. I'm sorry, I do not see you've provided enough evidence to be able to make that claim. What? What? That's a claim you cannot substantiate. That you cannot back that claim up. That Starmer is a threat to our democracy. What? What? Please, the evidence you've just cited doesn't really seem to back that up. Because I guaranteed you, if you could go through all of those and you were to go through Starmer's complete record when he was worked there, I think you would find you're cherry picking and you're picking sort of the bad examples and you're maybe even ignoring the good examples and what you went through there. Why are you mentioning those particular cases in examples when you're not maybe commenting on his whole career? That seems to me you've got an axe to grind. And it seems to be your axe to grind is you want Corbin back. But again, it's not how the left wins. Corbin led his party to the biggest election defeat in its history. He fought, what, 2 general election campaigns and didn't win. If Corbin was so good and such a principled person and leader, why did he not win? And of course, that's the point where we'll be hearing the flood of excuses and people typing rapidly in the comments. So they were, oh no, everyone's joining the Labour Party. Well, when you look at democratic activity within the Labour Party, the only 2 votes these people turned up to seem to have been certainly the first vote to get Corbyn elected, and then in the vote of confidence. That seems to be the only time these people have turned up. And yet they didn't seem to get involved in local politics. They didn't seem to get involved in the local Labour Party. Instead, in many cases, the Momentum faction would just go off and make their own group and say, we are the rightful Labour Party in this area. Again, oh, nothing terrifies the establishment because they hate nothing more than democracy. Well, that democracy still exists within the party. They haven't diminished it. And you are not providing any evidence that the Labour Party or anything has diminished or gotten rid of this democracy. Oh, membership has gone right down. Meanwhile, what has Momentum claimed, which they claimed they did very, very foolishly, and what have you claimed? That, oh, if you're a leftist, you should leave the Labour Party. But oh, the membership has gone right down. And I see here, oh, he's welcomed oligarchs with big money. Well, because there has been that massive exodus, and we have seen unions basically cut ties because, oh, he wasn't Corbyn. or oh, he's not socialist enough, who do you think he's got to turn to? A political party cannot run without money. If Starmer's got to turn to rich donors, it's because you forced him to. Once again, this is how the left loses. It's not how it wins. It wasn't for attending a picket line. It wasn't. You know full well it wasn't. Don't lie. What about the Labour New Deal for new workers? That that offer on the table at the moment is far more, and that offer and that political offering, far more than what the Tories would ever offer. It's a good deal. It ends fire and rehire. It ends 0-hour contracts. That's something to be praised. But no, oh no, he he hates he hates working class people. Again, you look absolutely politically pathetic and useless. I again, we heard this all the time. Not the case at all. Look at Labour Party policy at the moment, what they are saying, what they are doing. The Tories would never touch these policies with a barge pole. They would never go anywhere near them. And yet, oh no, just it's the Tory party with a red rosette. Again, pathetic. No, it's not. Again, my God, is it just impossible? Is it just impossible that the UK left just cannot get over the Iraq War? Yes, we went to the war in Iraq. Yes, it was bad. Yes, we should never have got it and done that. But you're still crying about it after all these years. And yes, I agree. It was bad. No one is saying it wasn't. But the it's done. It's over. There's very little you can do about it now. And to be honest, where I said at the beginning, you'll be complaining about Corbin for the next 10 years. Well, yeah, you've pretty much proved my point. You will be. Tony Blair, one of the biggest landslides in 1997, one of the most successful Tory, not Tory leaders, one of the most successful Labour leaders in recent political history. And yet, oh, Iraq War. No, his entire record. That's it. Iraq War. You know, if if you want to keep them dragging up those old political arguments, by all means, but makes you look completely political useless. What's your intention about it? What do you mean? What do you want to do about it now? This is an old battle that you can't really fight anymore. It's pointless politically. It will win you no points except brownie points with people on the left, which, to be honest, do not make up the large section of the political populace and the voting public in the UK. It will win you very few political votes. And that's just being honest from an electoral point of view. given his policies, he's far better than Sunak. Far better Sunak than you give him credit for. Why did you not promote PR? I agree. We need to change sort of the political system. So why didn't you not campaign then for PR? Have you ever talked to Labour for PR? Have you ever talked to electoral campaign groups? I'm sure you have. But if you're going to actually do that and achieve that, you need to work within the party. You need to start sharing that message and being that. But I don't see you doing this, and I don't think this video that you've produced here is really that convincing enough. Because it's to me, this is nonsense. It it's not borderline conspiracy. It is conspiracy theory. You've indulged with, you've engaged with. You haven't really proved that Keir Starmer does the bidding of the establishment at every turn. I'm sorry. This is so painful. Should I just end it here? I'm really tempted to be honest. I really am. Oh my god, this. No. Well, this far in, we might as well finish it. Corbin was not that popular, and if you say, it just goes to show you why the right hated Jeremy Corbyn, just like they hate Keir Starmer. They're not going to suddenly turn around and start supporting Corbyn out of nowhere. That you are right on that. They care to claim about free speech, but not when it's someone they don't like. I think that should have been obvious a long time ago. That's not a revelation. And that is the heart of this Corbyn cult. They cannot see beyond the idea that Corbyn is some sort of Jesus figure. It's not about the character, it's about the policies matter, and it's about the policies that the party should be pushing. You should never ever tie your political mast to a political figure, because why? This is what ends up happening to you. You make videos like this crying for Jeremy Corbyn. This guy will be crying for Jeremy Corbyn for the next 10 years, if not more, if not for the rest of his life. And this is not how you win. This is not how you win at all. Because so far you haven't really offered any proper solutions. You haven't even taken the time to advocate for PR when you could have. And what do you think? Do you want Corbyn to just become leader of the Labour Party again? Because I'll tell you what will happen to the poll numbers. Corbyn was not as popular as these people like to think he was. He was not as popular as they like to think he was. And unfortunately, the British electorate proved that in 2019. That's the fact. That's the reality. And that's what a lot of people, like this guy, still can't get their head around. That he lost to Boris Johnson. Oh well, at least we know what their take on Ukraine is. God, I don't even want to get into the Ukraine debate, to be honest, because I'm just fed up of having it with people like this on the left who just don't seem to understand it. But there you go. I agree with that. We shouldn't probably be selling arms to Saudi Arabia. I think maybe that is a far better way to look at it. And again, I think probably with the whole Netanyahu thing, with all demonstrations that are going on in Israel, is very worrying at the moment. Um, I do sort of agree with you on that front. As I said, there's probably 2 points in this video so far that I've agreed with you on, but the rest of it, this is just nonsense. I'm sorry. Corbin destroyed himself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He destroyed himself. He pulled the party into a socialist mindset that not what a lot of the British public want. There aren't enough socialists to be able to back that type of party. Corbyn proved that. No matter what you want to say about 2017, 2019, which the manifesto was even more socialist, which again the 2019 campaign was an absolute mess. Again, that's on Corbyn. There's so many things that they do not want to take ownership of or even admit, or the fact that while you cannot do fully socialist, there are lots of progressive ideas that they could do with a lot of other people on the left who aren't as far as they are, but as far as they're concerned, they're right wingers because they're not socialists. This is the attitude that we see on the left. This is why on the right, whenever it comes time to vote, they know who they're voting for. They'll go out and they'll vote for Conservative. Unfortunately, you get people like this on the left who will go, well, I really want the left to win. I really want left good ideas. I really want these things, but I'm not going to vote for the Labour Party, even though they could win. And unfortunately, this attitude is very persuasive within the left, and they don't go do it. This is why I've said this guy is politically useless. He's politically inept. He's politically useless. This is not how the left win. This is how the left loses. He's demonstrated it. This guy will be crying about Jeremy Corbyn for the next decade, if not for the rest of his life. Let's go back to those just for a second. So you'll notice there one of those papers. Labour goes to war with itself. Back Jezza or quit. Union boss threatens pro-bombing MPs. While you might, and again, there's a lot to praise about Corbyn's domestic policy. Corbyn's foreign policy, the idea that that pacifism at any cost is bad, because at this moment in Ukraine, Corbyn might as well be supporting Putin because his stance and his pacifist stance almost leads him to be supporting Putin. There is no peace plan. Corbyn has not put forward a peace plan, how he thinks peace should be achieved. He just thinks there should be peace, and that's it. But you're dealing with Vladimir Putin, who would not withdraw his troops. He will not renounce those claims that he's made of Ukraine. The only way that the Ukrainians will ever get peace in their country is to fight off Putin. Because if there is another Minsk 3, then as a lot of people said, it will just be a 10-year peace. That will not secure permanent peace. We've been through this so many times. Again, there's people on the left who just, for some reason, can't even seem to understand that, yeah, there are times where you have to fight. Even if you are a pacifist, there are times where you just have to fight. And this is one thing for the Ukrainians. They are having to fight right now. And if you don't support them fighting right now, then you might as well be supporting Putin. I'm sorry. That's the reality of the situation. And again, Corbyn is awful on his foreign policy takes when it's come to this. He's absolutely awful. Yeah, such a massive constituency that he went on to lead the Labour Party into a massive electoral defeat in 2019. After what people like this guy will go on to say, oh, but what about 2017, where he had this massive, um, massive number of votes? He still lost though, but he had a massive number of votes. And yet, biggest electoral defeat in Labour history, losing safe Labour seats because, from what we know and have heard multiple times, he ignored the warnings about what was going on in the Red Wall. To do that, you need to push for progressive ideas. You need to push for good progressive and left-wing policy. You don't do it by crying about Corbyn. Over. It's done with. Move on. Get more progressive MPs in to the Labour Party. By doing that, you have to be part of the Labour Party. Vote for more progressive people to be part of the national executive. It's pretty obvious. You have to get involved democratically. No, according to this guy, Starmer's presiding over a coup and a dictatorship. Please. Oh, this is pathetic. It really is. What about all the answers that Starmer has given and what he would do to all this? Yeah, the one person. Only Corbyn had the answer. No one else. This is why it has become a cult. And the people that still hang on to this, I'm sorry, you will never affect political change if you keep on hanging on to this. Yes, by all means, continue with those ideas, by all means. But sorry, Corbyn's day is done. By continuing to hold on to this hope that he's going to come back. Sorry, that's a sinking ship. No, Keir Starmer does actually have a lot of answers. You don't seem to have listened to a word he has been saying recently. Again, I'll give you a prime example. What about the New Deal for workers that he's promised about, which will give more powers to unions, would end fire and rehire, would end 0-hour contracts? Is that not good for working people? Is that not good for young people? I think it is. I think it very much is. Then push for those ideas. There's nothing wrong. I have not said you cannot push in this video for not pushing for progressive ideas. I think Starmer is being a bit boring, to be honest. I think he's playing it a bit safe and a bit boring. I worry that's not going to be enough in a general election. I think he needs to do something a bit more bold, bit more brave, and I think he'll win it. I think he'll win an absolute landslide. And I've said I think he should be transforming the House of Lords into a House of Regional Representative, which is elected by proportional representation. I think that would be an amazing transformative change for the country. Amazing. But we'll see. Like I say, this is one of the things that they've looked at in the Gordon Brown report. Gordon Brown said, "Yeah, we need to sort of do that. We need to look at that constitutional change." I really do hope that that becomes a thing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens when we get the Labour manifesto, which I'm sure this guy will absolutely hate. Uh, but there you go. Is that it? Are you just going to keep on? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're just going to keep on praising. Yep. Uh, yeah, we can end this now. We've been going an hour. Uh, yeah. Um, I'm sorry. This video bordered on absolute conspiracy theory. I think this is an absolute conspiracy theory this guy's put forward. This is a guy would ever like to chat. Go on then. Like I say, I'm more than happy to have this chat. But I think what you've put forward is an absolute conspiracy theory about Keir Starmer. Uh, I, I would love to have a conversation with you, but I very much doubt you will. But there you go. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.